Welcome to the Touch Art channel. Today we are going to meet a French artist, one of the most prominent representatives of neo-impressionism. His vibrant paintings are created with single dotted brushstrokes in the pointillist style, revealing themselves as you move away from the viewer, and depicting unsurpassed landscapes and female portraits. Henri Edmond Cross, born Henri Edmond Delacroix, was not just an artist, but a true revolutionary in painting. He was born on May 20, 1856, in the small French town of Douai, in the north of the country, to Alcide Delacroix and Fanny Woollett, an Englishwoman. His family name Delacroix is an old, well-known name associated with the great Romantic artist Eugène Delacroix. But young Henri was destined to leave his own mark on art by choosing a different surname. Choosing the path of an artist, he took a bold step by changing his surname to the English-language version of Cross. This allowed him to find his own voice and individuality in the art world, sparing himself comparisons with the great romantics of the past. Cross became an innovator, laying the foundations for a new artistic movement that is now called neo-impressionism. Henri Edmond Cross was one of the first to explore and develop the unique technique of pointillism, a point-like stroke that created a unique fusion of colors and shapes on the canvas. In his paintings, he did not just convey reality, but created his own world of light, color, and harmony. His style influenced many artists and became the light that led many artists to a new approach to painting. I thank everyone who is watching the video and invite you to subscribe to the channel and join our community. From childhood, Henri Cross had a special observation, seemed to have a more subtle sense of the world. The open space of northern France, where one could always feel something on the horizon, created in him a desire to convey this hidden depth of reality. When he was 9 years old, the family moved to Lille, and it was this city that became the place where his talent was given a boost. In Lille, little Henri began to discover art thanks to the support of his cousin Auguste Swann, who was the first to notice the boy's talent for drawing. Swann supported the young Cross, guiding him in his studies. A real guide to the world of art for Cross was Carolus Durand, a famous French artist who was a master of the academic school. It was Carolus Durand who taught the boy the basics of composition and perspective, and gave him a sharp hand and a sharp eye. Thanks to his teacher, young Henri began to understand the depth of the academic approach, and later continued his education under the guidance of Alphonse Colas, a professor of painting at the Lille School of Art. The technical skill he acquired in Lille became a solid foundation for his further experiments in painting. Cross's early works were executed in a heavy, somewhat gloomy manner typical of the realist style, with dark shades and detailed forms. At the time, he sought to capture reality as it was, paying homage to academic traditions. However, Cross would soon realize that art for him was not just a reflection of the world, but a means of creating his own world, where color, light, and form merge into a harmony that cannot be seen in everyday life. This early period of his work would become the basis for the great artistic journey that lay ahead of him. Henri Cross began to find his true artistic self after getting acquainted with the revolutionary works of Claude Monet and Georges Seurat. Monet opened before him an amazing world of light and color, where nature was not just reflected on the canvas, but came to life, breathed. After this discovery, Henri gradually abandoned the dull, heavy colors of realism and began to look for new ways of expression, trying to transfer the brightness, variability, and unpredictability of the world around him to the canvas. His meeting with Georges Seurat in 1884 became one of the most important moments in his creative biography. Seurat was not only a friend, but also an inspiration whose ideas awakened in Crossy a desire for experimentation. That year, together with Seurat and Paul Signac, Cross founded the Salon de Independence, an innovative art exhibition where artists could showcase their work freely, without judgment or restrictions. This salon, in fact, became a manifesto of a new approach to art, which brought together artists who sought to move away from the canons and expand the boundaries of painting. Cross's own paintings in the Salon de Independence were a revelation for many. Bright, saturated, they seemed to radiate light, conveying the emotion of the moment through contrasts and play of colors. One of Cross's strongest influences was Paul Signac, who shared his passion for color and form. Signac admired Seurat's method, but sought to find a way to convey the essence of the moment even more fully. Together with Signac, Cross adopted the technique of pointillism, a method based on the use of small dot strokes that created a sense of integrity and depth in the image when viewed from a distance. This technique allowed Cross to embody the dynamics of light and the layering of colors on the canvas as he felt it in his soul. Each point, each stroke became part of a symphony where color had its own role and where the final image seemed to float to the surface, allowing the viewer to experience the moment with all its brightness. Thus, entering the world of neo-impressionism, Cross found his own artistic language, which became a synthesis of light, color, and form. This style brought him recognition and allowed him to express the inner harmony he sought on canvas. Henri Cross gradually honed his style, and the main tool for this was the technique of separate strokes. Pointillism, which he mastered under the influence of Seurat and Signac, not only gave his paintings brightness, but also allowed him to convey the energy of the moment, the vibration of light and air. Each brushstroke, each dot on his canvases carried its own portion of light, so that together they created the impression that the painting was glowing from within. However, over time, Henri began to go beyond the strict rules of pointillism, gradually moving to a freer style where the dots began to combine into bolder strokes. Cross often turned to natural motifs, especially inspired by the landscapes of Provence and the Mediterranean coast. When he moved to the south of France, he found the soft Mediterranean light to be the perfect ground for his experiments with color and form. His favorite motifs were seascapes, golden fields, pine groves, scenes from peasant life, and idyllic landscapes filled with sun and air. His paintings conveyed not just a place or event, but a mood, a sense of harmony with nature. The viewer was especially delighted with his paintings of the coast, where the blue waters and warm sand were reflected in hundreds of shades and shimmered with colors. Cross's bright, saturated colors and bold experiments with form made him one of the forerunners of Fauvism, a movement that was gaining strength in the work of Henri Matisse and his contemporaries. Artists who gravitated towards Fauvism admired his ability to synthesize form and color, creating a new reality saturated with emotion and rhythm. In Cross's paintings, the energy of color became a means of expression that went beyond the mere depiction of objects. It created a mood, filled the space with warmth and light, becoming a response to what the artist saw and felt on the southern coast. Thanks to this harmony of color, shape, and light, Cross left an indelible mark on art. He opened up new possibilities of color for many artists, showing that a painting can be more than just a reflection of reality. It can become a source of emotional experience that makes the viewer not just see, but also feel. At the final stage of his career, Henri Cross was at the zenith of his mastery. Provence became for him not just a place of residence, but a real inspiration, where the beauty of nature influenced his perception of color and light. The warm Mediterranean climate, pure colors of the sea and sky, contrasting combinations of shades of Mediterranean landscapes gave him endless opportunities for artistic experiments. At this time, he became more and more deeply involved in the contemplation of nature, striving not only to depict it, but to feel and convey its unique rhythm. The summer of 1908, which Cross spent in Italy, left a significant mark on his work. The local landscapes, architecture and atmosphere of cities such as Florence, Pisa and Assisi inspired his new paintings, meetings, and collaborations with such prominent artists as Henri Matisse and Maurice Denis only deepened his search. Together, they developed new approaches, held exhibitions in Paris, Berlin, Brussels, and Dresden, presenting not only their works but also a new view of art. A warm friendship with Matisse, who was also fond of Fauvism, inspired Cross to experiment even more with color and lines. Thanks to his communication with Denis, who was actively interested in symbolism and decorativeness in painting, Cross comprehended the art of stylization and abstraction of form even more deeply. Cross's last works become a vivid example of decorative painting, saturated colors, orderly compositions, and frank simplicity of forms created the impression of festive decorativeness. It was felt that he no longer limited himself to the clear rules of pointillism. His strokes became bolder, his paintings radiated color saturation, and their surface resembled bright mosaics. Cross sought to convey not just a moment, but the feeling of a lifetime, captured in the play of color, light and mood. His last works are symphonies of colors, where every detail, every shade complements each other, creating a sense of harmony and joy of being. In the later years of his life, Henri Cross remained faithful to his art and sought to create something new to the last, improving his own skills. His travels and collaborations with the leading artists of his time gave his works a unique depth, and each new painting became a symbol of the undying creative spirit, capable of finding beauty in the simplest things and turning them into a masterpiece. Henri Cross's work has left an indelible mark on art, influencing not only his contemporaries but also several generations of artists who sought their own path in painting. His innovative approach to color and the technique of separate brushstrokes became the foundation on which Fauvism was based. Cross boldly combined bright colors and bold shapes that inspired Henri Matisse, André Derain, and many other Fauvists. They saw in his works a new way of interacting with color, where brightness and contrasts were not just a stylistic device, but an expression of the artist's inner world. Cross's works still attract the attention of art lovers today, gaining recognition at auctions and exhibitions. For example, in 2013, 4 paintings by Henri Edmond Cross were sold at Sotheby's. Provence landscape for $87.5 thousand US. Bathers for £301.25 thousand sterling. St. Clair Beach was sold for £825.25 thousand. Pink Spring was sold for $1.205 million US. This recognition confirms that his work continues to be admired and remains a valuable contribution to the treasury of world art. Cross's importance as a pioneer in neo-impressionism lies not only in his ability to see differently, but also in his courage to implement this vision in his work. He was one of those artists who were not afraid to break the established rules in order to find their artistic truth. His paintings are a feast for the eyes, combining the beauty of nature, light and color. Thanks to this, Henri Cross remained in the history of art not just a master, but a true visionary who opened new horizons for painting and influenced the development of the European avant-garde. The legacy of Henri Cross lives on not only in his paintings but also in the grateful memory of his followers who, like him, choose the path of freedom and experimentation. His works continue to inspire, reminding us that true art always strives to go beyond reality, creating its own unique world. The work of Henri Edmond Cross became a defining stage in the history of painting, paving the way for new styles and revolutionary techniques. As one of the main representatives of neo-impressionism, he explored and developed the idea of a separate brushstroke, bringing it to the level of a subtle play of colors and light, which allowed him to depict the artist's inner world as vividly as the external reality. His desire for purity of color and freedom of expression influenced a whole generation of artists who saw in his works a new way of interacting with the canvas. Cross did not just leave a legacy of works, but laid the foundations for the following art movements, in particular Fauvism, inspiring such masters as Henri Matisse. His paintings are a reflection not only of time, but also of the eternal beauty of nature, emotions, and harmony. Thanks to his innovative vision, Henri Edmond Cross will forever remain in the history of art as a master of color and light who opened new horizons and gave the world art that does not age and continues to amaze even centuries later.